Supreme Court has rejected the government's move to submit its suggestions in the Adani case in a sealed cover. Calling for more transparency, the court said that the proposals made by the government to protect investors in the wake of the fall in Adani stocks must be shared with the petitioners as well. The court has reserved its final order in this matter. Ashmit is standing by now with the details. Ashmit, take us through the observations that came in from the Supreme Court and where this now leaves this matter. And once again, give us the background for what the PILs suggested to the Supreme Court to start with.
Well, let's keep in mind that it's on Wednesday that, in fact, the Solicitor General, while appearing before the top court, had said that, look, the government does not want to spook the markets, does not want to spook the investors, and therefore any suggestions coming from the government on the way forward should be in a sealed envelope. At the time, the Supreme Court had not said much, but today, when the matter did come up for final hearing, in fact, the CGI, Justice Chandrachud, made some very pointed observations. At the very outset, he mentioned that he cannot permit sealed cover submissions, especially in case of such an expert committee that is sought to be constituted. Further, the CJI went on to observe that in the spirit of transparency, it's important that the government stance is known to not just the judges, but also to the petitioners, and towards that end has directed for the government submission to be shared between all the stakeholders. The Supreme Court said that any such expert committee that is to be constituted, if done under the garb of a sealed cover, will give the impression that it's a government committee that is in fact looking into the issues, and therefore it will not enjoy perhaps the full confidence. And to do that, the Supreme Court said that we will take the mantle upon ourselves. We will be the ones that will constitute this expert committee and suggest the way forward. As far as what the way forward looks like, but there are a few aspects to consider. At the very outset, when this matter was considered for the very first time, the concern that had been expressed by the apex court was investor protection. Even today, the CJI observed that lakhs of crores of investor wealth has been eroded. But above and beyond that, the petitioners have made a number of contentions. To begin with, the petitioners themselves have also sought a copy of the government submission. Secondly, they've also sought a relook at the nature of pledged shares and the inflated rates at which the banks have offered loans on the back of these pledged shares. That is an area of investigation that has been sought. Another concern that has been expressed is, in fact, the role that has been played by public sector banks in terms of discharge of these loans. That is another focus area of investigation that has been sought in the petitions. The petition also seek a relook at the corporate governance issues that have been red flagged in the Hindenburg report. Also go on to raise questions about the LIC and suggest that an expert committee should enjoy the full trust of the confidence. Now, towards that end, the apex court has pointed out that it will neither take recommendations from the government nor the petitioners on who the members of this expert committee should be. Nonetheless, the Solicitor General did take the opportunity to say that statutory bodies such as the ED or the CBI should also be considered, and that the apex court should not be cynical. What the answer is, well, the apex court has reserved its order, and it's only from a few days from now that we'll begin to get more clarity on what the apex court thinks is the best way forward for this Adani Hindenburg saga.
Absolutely. We will have to see what the order says. But the Supreme Court today saying no to the suggestions that have come in from the government in a sealed cover, also saying no to the petitioners. The Supreme Court saying that the Supreme Court will itself set up a committee. Now, remember, as Ashmit was pointing out, the issue here is not the Hindenburg matter. The issue here, one, is of the investor protection framework. And that is what the Supreme Court is likely to look into. But of course, we will know more when we see the final order. Meanwhile, the shares of Adani Group continue to remain under pressure. 6 of the 10 group firms did close higher, though, but despite this, the group has seen its market cap erode by 10,000 crore rupees today. Overall, the Adani Group's market cap stands at 8.5 lakh crore rupees. It's lost now nearly 11 lakh crores since the Hindenburg report was released. Meanwhile, billionaire investor George Soros has questioned Prime Minister Modi's silence and said the controversy can spark